Argentina, the world's sixth largest beef producer, is banning exports to curb spiraling domestic prices. President Alberto Fernandez has prohibited overseas sales for 30 days and says his government is rolling out emergency measures to support the industry. Now, Argentina's beef exports reached $3 billion last year, partly due to rising demand from China. The government is concerned as domestic prices have shot up by 65% over the past year. That's prompting many Argentinians to eat less red meat. Per capita consumption has plunged from 69 kilograms per person in 2009 to 48 kilograms in 2020. Now, beef producers say if they can't sell overseas, they'll also stop selling locally. Farm groups have banded together and will be striking for a week in protest against the new measures.
Nobody likes to go on strike, but we believe the decisions taken by the government are deeply mistaken.
Now let's get more on this from Remi Piet. He's joining me from Miami and he's a senior partner at Embellie Advisory. Welcome to the show. Now, can this move work, or is the government digging a deeper hole for itself?
Well, there's different ways of reading the situation. And on the economic level, obviously, it's a decision that will impact strongly the farming sector, which has been traditionally opposed to the Alberto Fernandez administration. On a political level, obviously, the administration in place is very cautious of, the next few policies ahead of the elections at the end of this year. There was, Argentina is marred by a situation of stagflation, so basically a stagnation of the economy while inflation of prices increase, especially for first necessity goods. And in the culture of Argentina, red meat is essential. It's also very essential in the most impoverished part of the society, where anemia or the lack of access to good quality food is important. And by taking this decision, Alberto Fernandez has sacrificed aspects of the economy in favor of trying to provide red meat and decent prices to the basis of the consumption of everyday Argentinian. Will it be seen favorably by the agro industry? Obviously not. It's a symptom of the risk that you have to bear when you actually work in Argentina. But it might be actually a decision to permit more stability at the national level ahead of elections, because with the current increase of prices in everyday products, you would have seen a resounding potential demonstration in the next few weeks in Argentina, as in many other countries in Latin America.
So we'll come back to that election angle in a moment. But I first want to ask you now, Argentina isn't just an exporter of beef. They have lots of different food products, many of them, and yet they face high food prices. Why is that?
Well, it's for a series of different reasons. I mean, first of all, the currency impact of beef that is actually sold in Argentina in pesos compared to the ones that are sold international market in US dollars. There's also competition in terms of consumers here, in the sense that the demand for beef globally has been more important. So there's obviously an incentive for producers to export and limit the quantity for consumption of beef domestically in Argentina, because they are not sold at the same price. So the idea here economically is to limit the exportation and therefore provide more supply to the domestic market and decreasing the price in Argentina. It's turning a sector that has been successful in Argentina into this export-driven strategy to actually first supply the domestic market for food security and the decrease of everyday prices for the population. It's not going to be seen favorably, obviously, by the agro-industry sector in Argentina, which usually support the opposition to the Alberto Fernandez administration, but it's understandable if your goal is actually to sustain, social stability in a country, whether it's for 30 days. The reaction from the industry was to declare a strike for 7 days, which is going to be extremely unpopular with the average citizen in Argentina, because you're depriving them of meat for the next week or so. But it's going to be very interesting to see this as a symptom of an economy which has faced stagflation and is unstable politically for the last few decades. So for investors,
very quickly now, President Fernandez is saying that he has a whole new other policy that he's going to roll out to help bring down prices, but so far he hasn't been able to do that. Neither have his predecessors. Do you expect anything different this time, something out of the box?
So, I mean, let's be clear here. I mean, Argentina has a history of mismanagement of different parties and the lack of, cohesion from its society in terms of being able to submit, domestic savings and capital to support, potential investment in the country. So that's the microeconomics of Argentina. However, today we're looking at a situation which is, unknown from, many decades, which is the post-pandemic and the impact that it has on everyday's economics and potential support to government. Alberto Fernandez is definitely making the bet of, more popular, maybe a populistic move, definitely, but more support from the society ahead of the elections. It would have been very poorly seen from the population that a sector that has been extremely successful the last few years, which is the exporting of meat products, would actually benefit at a time when the everyday citizen in Argentina do not, have a very hard time to go through. So it's a question of decision to, get more support towards the elections, obviously, but also to try to, get some support from the sector that has, been maybe the exception to the rule, to the well-being of the economic exporters out of Argentina.
So definitely a very populist move, but whether or not it's practical remains to be seen. Thank you very much, Remi Piet, there from Miami.